All right, so I got some important news to provide. This is a big moment for me. I have scheduled my first cheat meal of 2023. Breathing that in. Breathing that in. Why is this significant? Because it's all about establishing healthy patterns as opposed to the things that I would do last year, which did not consist of planning ahead and, I just talked about it. Zero impulse control. Just getting to a point, practicing discipline up until the moment where I could no longer, and then going off the rails, eating everything in sight, and not feeling like I was in control of my decisions, in control of my actions, and it felt terrible. We're not doing that this year. This year, I'm large and in charge of my decisions, of what I put in my body, of what I put in my mouth. This is a big moment. The thing that I want to emphasize right now is the importance of moderation. Why did I schedule a cheat meal after just saying yesterday out loud that I'm close to hitting my 5% body fat and, winning? Because a cheat meal is part of the process. I have to make that clear. I've noticed within the past couple of days, my will has been getting weaker. It's been whittled down to the point where I'm having more consistent thoughts about going off of my diet, eating unhealthy things. And as I've already established, when I finally give in to those urges to overeat, that's when it becomes an uncontrollable experience where I just have to go balls to the wall, stuff my stomach, feel sick, go to sleep with heartburn and acid reflux, wake up with a distended stomach and bloated, and require myself to fast for the next 36 hours, have a really huge bowel movement before I can actually start feeling normal again. Make no mistake, I'm still going to fast after this experience, which is in a couple of days, but it's planned. This is huge. This is a huge moment. And I'm really excited to share it with everyone. I'm really trying to set the tone for this year. And like I said, no more fucking binges. To me, this isn't really a binge. A binge is an uncontrollable experience where you just go into a tunnel vision and it's like that Jordan Peele movie, Get Out, where you go into the sunken place. My consciousness goes into the sunken place when I'm on a binge experience. And I'm just watching my body find and discover all these different things in like what feels like a 10-mile radius that I can consume that's appealing to me. And it lasts for a couple hours, and then the night ends and I go like, okay, so you're back. How was that? How was that for you? I never feel that guilty because I always make up for it and I figure out ways to compensate. But again, we went an entire year of 2022 with a singular goal of hitting 5% body fat, and I did not hit it, and that's the reason why. So we're not going to do that this year. Instead, we're going to hit 5% body fat within the next 4 to 6 weeks. This scheduled cheat meal that will be occurring in a couple of days. I already booked the reservation. It's going to be at an Italian spot. Is part of hitting that 5% body fat, because it will prevent me from going on a binge prior to and afterwards. Afterwards is me departing on an airplane with my partner to the East Coast to visit my mother and father and friends in my hometown. Having the binge, again, I don't want to call it binge, having the overeating, the planned overeating experience on the day prior to my departure to the East Coast allows me to get through that next week focused and not having to question my decisions, and not there's less will that's required because I already expended the impulses that were building up over time. I expended that on the day prior to my departure. So this is just setting a tone, just setting a standard, creating a habit, and this is the right type of habit to implement this year and moving forward. I'm extremely happy about that. Probably. No, I was thinking, feel like it'll be interesting to see what my physique looks like after that overeating experience, because like I said, it's an Italian restaurant, a whole lot of carbs. It's just going to be a carb loading experience. In preparation for it, I imagine that I'll be fasting for the duration of the day leading up to the experience. I have reservations for 5:45 p.m. Eat a bunch of carbs, probably hit and again, this is just a huge estimate, 4,000 to 5,000 calorie range, maybe even more. Who knows? I might get to 7,000 or 8,000. I've always had a suspicion, and this is something that I want to talk to a nutritionist about, is that if you eat a bunch of calories in a very small window of time, your body is not able to store that huge surplus of calories. So, for example, if you were to eat 10,000 calories in the span of 1 hour, but you haven't really consumed calories leading up to that 1 hour, my belief, based off of experimentation that was executed last year in 2022, is that your body is going to store as much of it as it can. However, there is a certain limit due to just the enormous surplus of calories that you're consuming in that one period, that most of it is just going to not be able to get stored and instead be excavated out of your butthole. It's a suspicion, and the reason why it's a suspicion is because when I was doing the prolonged fasting diet of eating a ridiculous surplus of calories on one day, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, and then fasting for 2 days afterwards and then repeating the process, I was losing weight. And the thing is, if you don't know this, the whole mathematical equation to losing fat on a consistent basis or losing weight on a consistent basis is putting yourself on a caloric deficit, eating 500 calories less than you burn every day. That totals up to 500 per day. Once you get to the end of the week, then you have reached a total number of calories burned in comparison to calories consumed. And that number, 3,500 calories, is what you're supposed to be operating in a deficit on a weekly basis in order to lose weight. The thing is, when I was doing that overeating, prolonged fasting routine, I am certain that I was eating on a surplus accumulatively each week. Meaning that on the day that I was eating 6,000, that would ultimately, every time I did it, add up to a surplus of calories by the time the 7-day period ended. If that makes any sense. And again, it does need further exploration, but it's quite interesting. It really is quite interesting because I was succeeding in losing weight while still not being on a deficit, and my only reasoning for that is because I was eating it in such a small window where the surplus would occur in a 1 hour, 2 hour time span. So my body, based off of the experience, was not able to store that large amount of calories in my body. Instead, it would just get rid of it. And the bowel movements were big. So that's what I think. And that's what I'm going to do in a couple of days. I'm going to fast leading up to the experience, and then I'm going to have a whole lot of carbs. And then the following day, I'm going to continue fasting, probably do like a 36 to close to 48 hour fast, maybe even a bit longer, because the following day I'm going on a red-eye airplane. So I might not eat until 2 days afterwards, in which case my concern would be making sure that I'm not losing any muscle, because I've run into that experience too, where as a result of a lot of fasting, there was a loss of muscle. So we definitely want to be mindful of that. However, there is research to support that muscle loss does not really occur through fasting until I think like a 40-hour threshold, where the first 40 hours of fasting, your energy is taken from your liver glycogen stores. And then after that 40-hour threshold, then it starts targeting other stores of glycogen for energy. Don't fully quote me on that. That's just something that I heard about in passing, so I might need to do additional research on that. Regardless, this is big. This is big. I had other things to say, but this was before I arrived at the decision that I'm starting my life today. I'm making the necessary adjustments to hit my goal and not lose control this time, and feel well adjusted, feel like a fucking human. So thank you for being a part of this. Yeah, like I said, there was I had a whole planned not digression, but I had a whole planned presentation to talk about workout routines, but I think I'll save that for tomorrow. Yeah, I think I will. Anyway, progress is going great. It's a very happy time to be alive. One day historians will look back on this moment and say, this is the moment that Sean Fury took control of his life. And I will look back on those historians and I'll be dead.